What's up, guys? It's the Building Small Business Podcast. I'm Shae.
Why would you do that when I got my phone out? Do it again.
All right. What's up, guys? It's the Building Small Business Podcast. This is Shae.
And I'm Matt Metz, and we're here with Scott Lewis today. Scott, if you could tell us a little bit about the business that you run.
Sure, yeah. So we have a kitchen and bath business here, and we are located in Nicholasville, and we do everything cabinet related. You know, anything commercial, residential, remodel. You know, we pretty much are a one-stop shop for cabinets.
You never know that walking around your store here.
No,
Yeah.
no, right, right. Yeah.
It's such a nice place. It makes me feel like my kitchen's inadequate. But
Well, I tried. I appreciate it, but I tried.
I like it.
So, how long you been in the business?
So this is actually my 20th year.
Oh, man.
So so I started with two different companies. I spent 10 years, I guess you would say, learning the ropes, basically. I learned a lot from two different companies. And after 10 years, I was like, you know, man, I was like, if I'm going to ever try this, now is the time. I'm young enough. I'm still physically able. And, you know, it's a funny story. I was talking about this the other day, like, I wouldn't do it now. I wouldn't start now.
Oh, really?
No, because so for the first year or two, all the physical side of, you know, delivering the cabinets, unloading the cabinets, and so on, I did most of that by myself. Now, I did have, occasionally I would have some extra hands, but for the most part, it was just me. And, 10 years later, I'm mid-40s now, like, there's no way I would try this without either having a partner or the capital to go ahead and put somebody in place to be able to do that. So, no, there's just too much physical of it that I don't think I could keep up with now.
That's funny that like a lot of people that said if they were going to start a business, they would do A, B, and C differently. And you're like, I just wouldn't have started.
Right.
It sounds like an awful time to do that over again.
I mean, I
I like the honesty.
I walked away from a great job. You know, I had a good job as an outside cabinet salesman for a local company here in town. And it was a good job. And again, I wanted to try things different. I wanted to do my things my way. And I wanted to, you know, again, so basically, I was like, all right, you know what? Here's the truth. I was like, I got no wife, no kids. I'm a single guy. If I fall flat on my ass, it's just me. Like, I'm not going to take anybody down with me. And so I took that leap, and fortunately, it's paid off. It's worked out. And, you know, I've learned a lot along the way. I've learned a lot how to manage people differently, how to talk to people differently. Obviously, one of the big things I always tell is you listen to understand and not listen to react. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that I didn't understand very well in the beginning. I was a little bit of a hothead, and the emotions came out faster than getting all the facts and getting everything that I needed to know before I made a decision. So that's something I think comes with just age and experience.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I, again, had a little bit more of that in the beginning. Would probably been a little bit different, but
I love that. And
yeah.
That's a thing that you could use with your employees and with a customers that's sitting across the table from you.
Absolutely, yeah. That's it. It goes with all levels of people that you work with, whether it's how you deal with a realtor, how you react to a builder, and or how you react to an employee that's not performing the way that you want. And unfortunately, my staff they're rock stars. Like that
always helps.
Every time I get a compliment on Facebook for a picture that I post, and again, it takes me a few seconds to post a picture of a real pretty kitchen that we've done. Again, going from A to Z on that it's months, it's weeks, and it's not just me. It's a lot of people involved. And honestly, some of the kitchens that we do that I post, I never even touch. I've got a great in-house designer. I've got great installers, and my office staff orders everything for me. So again, I'm just kind of overseeing and managing. But, we're working off the fundamentals that I set up that, we're going to take care of our customers. We're going to do things this way. We're going to do it the right way. We're going to do it every day the right way. And that's one of the things that's just, I think has helped me too, is just, again, I just try to do everything the right way.
So had you owned other businesses before this one?
First time. Yep. It was a big jump. I always tell everybody that, so here's my saving grace, and I'm not going to mention names or anything like that. They know who they are if they were to ever hear this. But I left the company I was working for in April 2011. So this past April, we celebrated our 10th year anniversary.
Congrats.
I spent 8 months working from home, trying to build the business. Now, again, I was an outside salesman. Was selling quite a bit of cabinets in town. So I had some really good accounts that I honestly thought would just jump right on board with me and roll. And it did not play out that way at all. It did not play out that way at all. So I worked hard. I worked a lot of hours, tried to build those relationships back. Now, I will say, I'll get back to the story in a second, but I will say that I have a couple of those counts with me now, but it took me almost 8 years of being in business for them to see that we could handle the volume, handle their account and what they wanted. And so a couple of those I have back now. But yeah, so I'm basically, this is the turning point for the business, I guess you would say. And I'm not trying to brag, but I was basically December of 2011 and broke. Like mortgage payment due, broke, funds were depleted. And I got a phone call that said, hey, we hear you're out on your own, and I've got a builder that would like to talk to you. He's looking for a cabinet guy. So I go meet with this builder, and again, I know the address. Like, I won't mention it, but I know the address. I don't want people showing it, but I know the address. Like, it was that big of a turning point in me being self-employed. And so the builder, I meet with him, I measure, I talk to him, I do the proposal. And then within about 10 days, he's like, all right, man. He's like, I'm good to go order this. He goes, what do we need to do? And I was like, I need a deposit. So he writes me a check. Now, again, December 2011. And again, I'm about to hang it up and I'm about to go look for a job. December 2011, he writes me that check, turning point. And then a few other things fall in place. By March of 2012, I signed a lease on my first building because I couldn't handle it out of my house anymore.
That's awesome.
That in 4 months, it went from me ready to start looking for employment again to I can't handle it working from my home anymore. So I moved into my first little warehouse office space, little small building.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And
so
then,
you literally were days or weeks away from calling it quits.
Yeah. Yep. Because it just wasn't taking off. Like I wasn't getting the volume that I needed. I wasn't getting any of the repeat business. And keep in mind at this time, like I'm working from home in a little office with basically just like a glass top computer table, doing my designs and ordering stuff and meeting vendors at my house. Like I'm really like, and again, just walking them through the house into this little bedroom I turned into an office. So it changed that fast on me. I was renting, this is the funny story. I was renting a warehouse space over off of Georgetown Street. It's an old tobacco warehouse that they have chain linked individual sections and renting them to people for $150 a month. So my deliveries, when they would come there, I'd offload them, and then I would dolly them all the way through this big, long warehouse building and stage them. And then to deliver them to the job site, like I couldn't afford U-Haul. I didn't have a box truck. My dad had lent me a 12-foot open trailer, and I would pull it with my little SUV, and I'd load them on that, and I'd take them to the job site, and that's how I did it. And just every day I prayed. I was like, all right, I got to deliver these cabinets today. Please don't rain. Please don't rain.
That's what it takes sometimes, man. That's you're not going to quit.
Right. And
well, our last podcast, he talked about perseverance pretty heavily. Hey, you just got to keep going. If you believe in it and you work hard at it, it's going to eventually work. You just got to make it through those times where your mortgage is due tomorrow.
Right. That's right.
You need some money.
So I've started, Matt and I've talked about it briefly. I've started this venture where I'm opening up a design studio in Indiana.
Oh, that's awesome.
We are, the volume of business I'm getting out there kind of warrants it. And it's a fun new venture. Now, I probably didn't have, again, even going through this process, like I probably wasn't fully aware of the amount of time that I was going to be traveling back and forth up there weekly. And it's fine. Like I'm in it now. But my mom asked me the other day, she's like, she said back last year we were talking about how you needed to hire this designer to help take some of the pressure off, and you got that. And, I hired an outside salesman on top of that. So I hired a couple of people in the fourth quarter. And she said, you got all that? And I was like, yeah. And she said, has that been a help? And I was like, yeah, it's been a huge help. It has taken some pressure off of me. She goes, then why are you doing this that's adding all that back on? And I was like, it's opportunity. I feel like it diversifies us a little bit more in the fact that I'm not completely reliant on all my sales and income to come from the Nicholasville, Lexington area. I'm building new relationships. And she goes, now if you could just go back just a few months and make that decision over, would you do it over again? And I was like, honestly, I don't think like that. And the simple reason is I'm already in it. I'm committed.
It's not an option.
So to think about, I wish I hadn't have done this now, or I wish I'd have done this, it's just too late. So now it's just, you're in it. There's no turning back. There's no passing it off to someone else. Like, now we just make it work. And we, if that requires one extra day a week or an extra 8 or 10 hours on the road a week to make that work, then that's what we're going to do. So
I think you have to take those opportunities when they come up. And it sounds like you're pretty good at hiring people. So if you just make it through this opening phase, you can eventually hire an operations manager or somebody up there to take some of the pressure off of you.
That's definitely the game plan is to, I want to be the face of it first. Not that I have the prettiest face, but 20 years of cabinet.
Don't sell yourself short.
Right. 20 years of cabinet experience is hard to find somebody that can duplicate that. Again, that's there. And there's a lot of good people out there, but that comes with a heavy payroll. And I'm not ready to make that commitment yet. So what we'll do is we'll get the showroom design studio done, completed. And I was up there yesterday and drywall's done. So we'll start finishing drywall next week. So we're getting closer to start doing paint displays. So it's exciting. But once the volume of business warrants somebody, then I will find someone that will either train or has a few years of cabinet experience and put them in place to be able to manage that Monday through Friday for me, with me going up there doing visits and checks and meeting with clients. And all my operations going to run through Nicholasville. My bookkeeper here, my warehouses are here, so everything's going to receive through here. And then when it's ready for those job sites, it'll be delivered up there. And
That's awesome.
Unless, again, the volume just got to the point where that's just not feasible
You have to
anymore.
deliver it there. And
Correct.
Yeah.
Do you plan on trying to open up more all across the country? Like,
That's a good question, and that's not something that's entered my brain yet.
Yeah.
So this second one has been interesting. So we'll get this one done and go on first. And again, there's who knows what this could be like in 4 years from now. So showroom done in a small town. I love the town, by the way. Like the people, everybody I meet's super nice. Again, that location there is on Main Street, and directly across from me is a barbershop. I've been getting my hair cut there for 6 months now.
nice.
Like, it's good people. It's that small town vibe. Not that Lexington and Nicholasville is not great and doesn't, I've built a ton like of great relationships. Like, I'm going to pat Matt on the back. Like I don't know Matt well, other than the fact that we went through a new build together. Matt was the realtor for some clients, and I was the cabinet guy for that builder. And we went through that, and I worked hard and tried to do a great job for them, and to the point where Matt referred me to his family, and we did a job for them, and I think that was great, and they were super happy. And so, again, just little relationships like that. And then, like, out of the blue, like, I haven't talked to Matt in months, and out of the blue, he's like, hey, you want to do this podcast with me? And I'm like, no, not really. That's my initial reaction. And then he sent me the video, and I was like, all right, this looks cool. This will be fun, and I can ramble on forever with cabinets and talk. So, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate you. Full disclosure, I may have made a mistake. I love my cabinets. I love how they turned out in our house. Did some business through mutual client John Kitchen, and Brittany came, and their house looks great. The install went great. From what I understand, went
Their
great.
house is sexy.
I'm sure there's always something, right? There's always like, well, this cabinet door got damaged on the way in. That's not Scott's fault. That's not really anyone's fault, but the people that manufacture the cabinet. So everything went smooth. All this stuff went great, and then we came in here for a consultation. We're looking for a very, very, very specific color, and we were also being cheap at the same time, so we didn't want to custom paint our cabinets because we were going to sell our house, and we ended up using a different company, and I'm not going to say names, and it wasn't the smoothest process, and there were some things that were messed up and wonky, and so now every time I refer anybody to a cabinet company, this is the very first company that I send, and then if they ask me for others, I'm like, you can go interview whoever you'd like, and I'm not gonna send you any more contacts. So,
well, that's very kind of you to say, Matt. I appreciate that. And again, I don't sit on any kind of pedestal and tell everybody that we're perfect and mistakes won't happen. The reassurance that I try to instill in everyone, and the things that I have with my employees, my staff, that again, they're just amazing. They're great. Like from the sales guys to the delivery helpers, my delivery manager, like they're just great. Like they work so hard. And I always say that, again, this would never have happened if I hadn't been surrounded. I would still been at a little bitty building doing just a couple jobs a month, because that would have been physically and mentally all I could have handled. But, again, we grew, and again, you don't hire right the first time every time. Like like my bookkeeper that's been with me now for almost 8 years. She started off part-time, and then about 6 years ago she came on full-time. She was my third bookkeeper. Like the other two relationships didn't mesh well, and it just wasn't a good fit for either one of us.
I don't think it matters if you've done 100 different businesses or started 100 different businesses. You're still not going to make the right hire every single time.
No,
somebody interviews really well, and you're like, oh, they're going to kill it.
Right.
We were actually talking on our very first podcast. We talked about this with the guy at Parquet, and he was saying, like, I've had interviews where I talked to someone and they seemed great, and then when they got in, they sucked.
Yeah.
And then I've had other interviews where I'm like, they're all right, but I need the help. And then now they're in management.
Right. So I'll tell you a story real quick about one of my guys, and I won't mention his name. Does sales for me. Owned his own business for 30 years. So talking about having a mentor, someone to go to and say, this is what I'm thinking, that, again, understands and knows well enough, he can look at me and go, that's stupid,
Yeah.
or that's a great idea, and know that I appreciate both opinions. So this guy comes to me and, again, owned his own business for 30 years, done well, when the economy tanked in the mid 2007, 2008, whatever that was, it pretty much hurt him. And so he bounced around, but throughout the process of me starting my business and him working for a couple other vendors that I was using, we maintained a relationship. And that relationship with them just wasn't quite where he wanted to be. Again, I don't think that it was just giving him all the opportunities he needed in life at that point. So he comes to me, and this is just another one of those stories as a small business owner that you always remember when you talk to that person. So he comes to me and he's like, Scott, he goes, hey, I need a job. And this was 6+ years ago. And I'm like, I was like, I don't know where I could, again, I wasn't wanting to put him in deliveries. And I was like, I'm going to have to think about this. So I didn't know what to do. And again, I really wanted to try to find an opportunity, and I didn't know what to do. He had zero cabinet experience, didn't have a lot of computer experience, zero design software experience. Like, was going to have to learn everything. So just through our conversations, and again, afraid, like, I'll just never remember this, and I'm quoting him. He said, I will work for free for you to learn. And my first response was, again, I tried to do everything by the book. I was like, well, legally I can't do that.
Yeah.
So I hired him at $10 an hour. And I said, if you're willing to work for $10 an hour to learn, I was like, I'll teach you. And I said, you just have to do what I do, go where I go. And so again, we're still in the other small building, and he's basically sitting across the desk from me while I'm working on designs, reading through the spec books, asking me questions. And then as he learned more and more, then he eventually got on the design software. And again, it wasn't his forte, but he's learned. And, now 6+ years later, like, he is absolutely crushing it. Like, and again, it's one of those things where I think he appreciated the opportunity. He didn't just take it for granted that, hey, I'm going to learn this. And Lexington native, Lexington Catholic boy, knows everybody, knows a ton of people. Like, I can go to him and say, hey, where's this street at? And he goes, oh, that's in such and such neighborhood. Because, for the 30 years he was in business, he was in those neighborhoods, and he just knows everybody. So again, I didn't know how that hire was going to play out. I didn't know how that was going to be. But again, the growth that we've seen in the last 6 years, I mean, he's a huge part of it. He's a huge part of it. Like the volume of business and sales that he's doing. And again, he's got probably half as many reviews online as I do for my company. I rarely get involved in anything. Sometimes he'll come and ask me a technical question on the design stuff, but I never have to go to the customer and talk to him, or like, he handles everything. Like, it's like he's running his own business with inside of mine. And like, again, that was not a hire that I would ever imagine that would evolve to where it's at.
I love that you don't have to micromanage somebody that, I mean, it took him, not that it took him 6 years, but it took him some time to learn, I'm sure, just like it would take either one of us to do that. But the will and the desire, and now you don't have to sit over his shoulder and say, do I need to call those clients and have a conversation with them, or do I need to show up on site?
Yep. No. Micromanaging, I like that term. So in the beginning I did. Because
it's easy to do, right?
I had little funds, very little funds. I don't come from any money. Like, my family wasn't able to support or help. Like, this was, I basically had a little money in savings, and this is how I got rolling. So, like, on the job sites when we were installing, because I needed to make sure I got paid as fast as I could, I was sitting on a 5-gallon bucket, basically watching the installers going, can you adjust that? Can you tweak that? And then again, I was making their life hell, but it's what I felt like I needed to do. And so now, fast forward 10 years later, I've still got the majority of the same installers working for me. I don't have to. I don't have to micromanage them. I don't have to micromanage my sales staff, my delivery guy, Tyler, that runs my warehouse and everything. He knows what to do, and they show up and do it right every day. So it's that's what allows us to grow. It allows me to go out and talk to new clients. It allows me to take on new business because I don't have to oversee what they're doing every day.
Perfect.
So you've been in this 10 years now. What's like the biggest piece of advice you would give someone who wanted to start their own business, whether it be in cabinets or selling golf clubs?
Well, I wouldn't advise anyone in the cabinet business. Yeah. Find another venture. I don't need any more competition. Again, I didn't know much about business, to be honest. I've learned, and I've made mistakes, and some of them have cost me money, and some of them have cost me employees. But I knew how to sell cabinets. I knew the products. I knew I knew how to install the products. I knew them inside and out. I know how they're built. I know how to explain them to people. Am I the best designer in town? Hell no. Do I know how to put together a good kitchen? Yes, I do. But there's a lot of talented people out there that probably are way better kitchen designers than I am or will ever be. And that's okay. Like, I've found my niche and it works for me. But if you're going to start your own business, that would be my advice. Know your business, know your product, know what you need to do to go out there and be as good or better than the next person. And again, just product knowledge. Again, I'm not a salesman. I'm not going to convince you to buy something you don't want to buy, but I'm going to educate you on what you're buying as well or better than anybody else. You'll know everything that you're getting, goods, bads. I've told clients before, like, look, I'm going to tell you everything bad about what you're buying, and if you don't buy it, great. We're going to shake hands and part friendly now, but there's not going to be any surprises in the back end. And if there is a surprise in the back end, it's something that was just overlooked. It was a question that they thought they had asked or needed to ask and didn't, or it's something about the product that I hadn't explained, which, again, I try to be very thorough on that. But that would be my advice to anyone that is going to go start their own business. Number one, know your product. Number two, it's not going to happen overnight.
Never does.
Never does. You're not going to see the monetary side of things is not coming overnight. I coined a phrase with some of my guys when I'd hire them and send them out on the job site. I said, we're going to stop worrying about the money side of things, and we're going to worry about taking care of our people, and then the money will come.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked. It worked. The sales came. But know your product, realize it's not going to happen overnight, and it ain't going to happen in a 40-hour work week either. You're going to work 60, 70, 80 hours a week. And maybe not for every year, but there's going to be times where things get slow or things get busier, and you have to be the one that steps up. Like, you have to be the one that does it, that goes there, Again, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I work Saturdays, I work Sundays, I work late. I meet people after hours on their schedule after I've worked my 8 to 5, 8 to 6 day already. So this is what you got to do.
Yeah.
You just got to be willing to put in the time.
That's just doing what it takes, man.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, we'll be right back. Here's a word from today's sponsor.
This podcast has been brought to you by SL Designs, bringing quality cabinets to your Central Kentucky locations since 2011. All right, so we're back from our little commercial break, and I wanted to kind of get into how you got into the cabinet business. So we talked about you've been 20 years into it. Did you need a job and you were just like, oh, they're hiring? Or
So just quick story to make it so not too long. I was actually a flooring salesman for Lowe's in Winchester. And one of the guys in the cabinet department at that time, each department had what we called specialists. So I was a flooring specialist. We had cabinet specialists. One of the guys quit, and the store manager come to me and said, hey, we would like to move you over to the cabinets. And I was like, no, thank you. I'm comfortable where I'm at. And he's like, no. He's like, we think you'd be good at this. You're doing well with the project sales and flooring sales. And I was like, all right. So I was still hesitant, but then, it's like there was more money involved and less physical work. So I was like, all right, let's give it a try. And now here we are.
nice.
So how did you learn the design aspect of it? Like, do you use a program that handles all of that, or did you teach yourself how to go?
So again, I don't like to take away from anybody that's ever helped me. But a lot of it is self-taught. A lot of it is, and now the great thing is I can, if I stumble on something or can't figure out how I want a design to look, there's YouTube videos. Like, there's 2020 is our design software that we use, and it's the same software I've been using the whole time I've been in the cabinet industry. There's tutorials on YouTube now that I can go and say, here's what I want to do or try to figure out. But so in the beginning, Lowe's provided some training classes. So for example, like I went to Craft Made up in Ohio twice in a couple years and went through what they call their 2020 training class, or their Craft Made University is what they were calling it. And so some stuff like that. And then Lowe's actually had I can't remember exactly what his title was, but he was kind of like their cabinet trainer. So he come and spent some time with me. Now, and again, looking back, what I learned then was a drop in the bucket of what it takes to become like a full-time kitchen designer, successful, and seeing all the little the little details that take to make a kitchen work. And, just as simple as not putting things in a certain place so that the cabinet door doesn't open or the drawer doesn't slide out. So again, I made a ton of mistakes year one, like a ton. Like I messed up people's kitchens, and I had some not so happy clients. But again, the store manager that put me in that position knew it going into it, and he's like, we'll figure it out. Well, he said, we'll think you'd be good in the long run. And so I ended up selling cabinets for them for 4.5 years, and then I started seeking other employment to honestly just again, I would love to sit here and say it was to learn more. It was to become a better. No, I was tired of working weekends and I wanted a Monday through Friday job.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was looking for. And I learned a lot from that company. I got a lot of outside sales experience. I got a lot of how to deal with set up builder accounts experience, things like that. So yeah, that's kind of how it was. Now, again, funny story going back, I wanted to not work weekends anymore. It was the whole to change, and now I work a ton of weekends and a ton of hours.
You got yourself a weekend job.
Yeah, so right. So I don't need a part-time job. I just work Saturdays if I need, a part-time job.
Yeah, I became self-employed to be able to control my schedule, and now I work 7 days a week.
I was gonna say, let me know how that works out, because I'm not in control of my schedule at all anymore.
No.
It's like just enough control that you're like, okay, that's all right.
Yeah,
I can still dip out and go to California on like a couple day notice, but
yeah, I get to put it all on a calendar and know what I'm doing the next day or 2 days or a week later. But to say that I'm completely in control of that every day, no, I wouldn't.
We're not there yet.
No.
So as far as your experience goes going into that realm, did you have any schooling or any trade school type of thing that you did prior to this?
The only thing that I had schooling wise and anything that maybe could transfer into cabinets was I did take carpentry and vocational for 2 years, my junior and senior year of high school. That was a program that was offered through vocational school, which, again, everybody out there to listen, let's bring back the trade programs again. We're going to need them.
Yes.
So that helped somewhat, and then just through the 10 years of being on job sites and helping people adjust drawers or change out a hinge or being with the installers, like I picked up a ton of that. Again, at one point, Lowe's offered a installer training class, so they actually would bring in what they would call their certified installers. And again, being so green and so new, the store manager let me attend those, so I got to be a little hands-on and play with nail guns and miter saws and how to level up and square up a cabinet. And then now, if I've got great installers now, so if I need to know how or see how to do something, like they're my go-to guys.
So does most of your work come from referrals, word of mouth, or do you run any like specific advertising you've seen that's helped you quite a bit?
So advertising's tricky. The thing that we've been focused on the last couple of years is just having our Google reviews done. We reach out to people and you even send them the link and say, hey, do you mind? And so for the last 2 years, I've not spent any actual money on advertising.
That's good.
We have a volume of builders that, fortunately, they buy all their stuff from us. We have those accounts set up, and that's our repeat business. From there, we lead to referrals. I post stuff on social media, and that leads to referrals and questions and kind of keeps people talking about things. And then, again, it's just people like Matt that, felt like they had a good experience with us. And when they hear somebody talking about needing a kitchen or needing a remodel or building a new home, like they pass on our name. And now I've got that for me. I've got that for my sales guys and, even my office staff, like they've done so well taking care of our customers that, people have come in and said, hey, somebody said I need to come and talk to Dorothy about this. And, that's just key is, again, just reenter back, taking care of people, taking care of customers, and, it spreads. That's my relationship in Indiana. Like that was a 15-year relationship that had kind of fizzled for a while because the contractor had gotten out of the business and started picking it back up. And he's like, hey, we're starting this construction company up here. We think it's going to be good. Or you going to be our cabinet guy? And I was like, well, of course, and so that evolved, and that's been about 4 years now. And every year the volume of cabinet sales that we're doing out there increase. And so that's why we decided it was a good idea to open up a design studio there.
Do you see most of your business come from builders or just people remodeling their own kitchens or anything?
I'd say I always try to track the split to see. I'm going to say we're probably a 70-30, maybe 60-40 on the larger number being our builders, our repeat business, and then the other being what we consider our walk-in or our referral business. So, we have the builder business that bring their clients to us, and we go through that. And I did a consultation this morning and went through the selection process, and Matt's been here a couple of times with a mutual client that we had and went through that. And then the ones that we just have just show up or just walk through the door, and we don't have no way to track how they came other than maybe seeing our sign, passing by the building. That's what we consider like our true retail. So, everything else is either through the builder, a contract. We have remodeling contractors that we sell to that don't actually build new homes, but they do a lot of remodels. So we have that. And then that just lends to referrals from those people too.
I've been to just by being in the real estate industry, I've been to multiple cabinet stores, and this isn't me just saying this because you're in person. There's a difference in how thorough people are when they meet with you about a cabinet. There's a sense of comfort. There's a sense of knowledge that just kind of like it gives the client confidence, and it gave me confidence whenever we were doing our initial consultation with you. I was like, oh, this is how it should be.
Right.
Sometimes I'll walk you through and be like, that's that brand. That one comes in about 8 weeks. This one's and you don't feel like you know what you just talked about. And you're like, what color does that one come in again?
So just I kind of have a routine depending on what we're looking at. So I don't talk about color until like the very end. I really don't talk about a whole lot of how your kitchen's going to be designed out. I take that process on my own way. But I try to find out what I got to build the kitchen around, what appliances are using, what size appliances are using. Are we doing built-ins? Are we doing more of a traditional appliance package with the range and the microwave above, or are we going to be doing a cooktop with built-in oven? So I try to find that information out. And then, obviously I take down those notes. And then the next process is I try to find out what style is what fits what you're looking for. Are you more traditional? Are you more of a modern style? And then again, it's funny. Like I can almost pick the colors now. Like we have about 3 colors that everybody's choosing right now that trend so hot. So it's pretty much what everybody's wanting. So that's kind of my process. Again, color is kind of one of the last things. I mean, it's probably the most important thing in the kitchen for the customer, but getting from A to Z from me, like that's the last thing I need to know. Like again, I don't discuss lead times or delivery times or anything at that point. That's between me and the person that's running the project, whether it be the builder or the GC or whoever, because again, no need for me to scare a homeowner with saying it's a 12-week lead time. If it's a new construction, well, I just order sooner. At what stage I determined is going to be about 6 weeks out. Now I go back 6 weeks further, and that's where we order. And, again, in all the industries, and as you guys probably talk to more people that maybe in the construction world or different vendors, right now lead times are just crazy. And they just keep growing, and we keep trying to adjust and, inform people. But, I mean, I've had my lead time change with one particular manufacturer twice in the same week.
Yeah.
I can sell you a kitchen on Monday and say it's this lead time, and by Friday it's changed. And that's not something that they're doing intentionally to us. They're trying to keep us informed, but getting product, keeping the inventory needed to build cabinets and, throughout, again, I'm not going to talk about COVID a lot, but throughout the last year and a half or the year or so, the volume of people that have stayed at home and worked at home and decided we want to do projects.
We want nicer stuff in our
house. We want nicer stuff, or we want a new
of.
kitchen, or we want to do our bathroom. Like it's exploded. And supply and demand, the supply is not there to keep up with the demand that we're working on right now.
I want to go back and try to guess which colors. So I'll take the easy one, white.
Yeah. Gray. Black.
Like a charcoal or a darker color.
Actually, black has been more popular than I expected it this year.
Mm-hmm.
What would be your top 3? So obviously white.
White, gray, and blue.
Blue.
Like the navy?
Yeah.
And you mean that by like an accent or like a whole bottom row?
Isn't that what your kitchen is, Matt?
Some sort of an accent.
Gray, light gray.
Island or bathrooms.
Okay.
Something like that. Black has been way more popular than I thought it would be. Natural wood colors are something I'm seeing.
Coming back a little bit?
Yeah, and it's not just like natural oak or natural maple. It's more, it's more of your exotic woods that have some sort of a different graining pattern, like maybe a rustic alder or rustic birch or, like there's techniques done on oak now that are really cool. So there's a wire brushing technique that enhances the grains and makes it deeper and richer.
Huh.
That gives it a completely different look. I've got a company that will take a rustic alder, which is a softer wood, and they have this really cool press that they run it through. So it puts these big indentions and grooves and gives a whole different level of texture and character. That with some sort of a light stain as an accent color or an island is something that's increasing.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
I already want to redo my kitchen.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
I've noticed the navy with like the gold hardware is really popular too.
Yep.
I was in a kitchen the other day photographing it, and that's what it was.
It's very popular right now. Yep. And the navy with the bronze hardware. Yeah, it's just hot. Like it's a good look, and
It
maybe
looks
not
good.
for the whole kitchen because again that's going to kind of lock you into a color palette for that entire room. But man, throw that in a bathroom or the master bath, and then put some lights and whites and grays around that. Yeah, it's hot.
Yeah, I like it. So what would be your favorite thing about business ownership? Obviously, you don't have that much freedom. We just talked about that.
Right. There is freedom.
I mean,
but yeah.
You do work Saturdays.
Right.
Everybody that owns a business, like you just find yourself working on weekends sometimes.
I guess I'm going to say it like this, and I hope I don't offend anybody, but I'm not a parent, so I don't have kids, so I've not been involved in watching the growth of a child, and I think as a parent that would probably be something that's very rewarding. And I think for me that being a business owner, that's the most rewarding part about it is, again, not the financial side of things, not the being in control of your schedule, is watching something that you basically took as an ideal or you created and then watch it grow to where it's at, to grow it to the point where it does give you the income that you want, and it does give you somewhat of the freedom to travel, or again, I have the ability to help people if I want to. If I have, if I feel like I'm going to use family, for example. Like I've got family members that maybe can't afford a new kitchen at a retail price. Well, I can help them. And again, so everything's not about always how much money can you make off of something. I'm not here to give product away because I still have a business to run, but having the ability to discount something, I give military discounts, I give fire department discounts, police officer discounts, no questions asked. I don't even care. Like I just had the other day, one of my buddies that's a cop here in Nicholasville called me and said, "Hey, such and such is coming in to see you." And I was like, "Anything you can do for me?" I was like, "Absolutely." I was like, first responders, like we want to take care of. So I called my salesman. I was like, it wasn't my account. I wasn't handling the sales. So I called my salesman. I was like, "Hey, such and such is coming in. Give him a 10% off discount for, being a police, officer." And I said, I'll pay you your commission the same, because commissions are based on margin percentages. And when I do a discount, it cuts their margin down. I said, you earn your commission the same, but I said, this is the right thing to do. Let's give this guy a discount. And we do. So military, fire, I'm actually going to be bidding out some cabinets for the Batesville Fire Department Monday. And, I'm not trying to give stuff away to get business, but we're going to take care of them the best we can. Again, we're trying to establish a good name and reputation up there. And I think that's one of the first ways to do it, is just help out the people that service our community and take care of us in our time of need.
So if somebody was interested in a new kitchen, what's that process look like for you? Do you bring them in to here and have like a consultation from the ground up, or do you go to their house to start?
Yep, good question. Depends on if it's a new construction or remodel. Remodel, I come to your house first. I come out, see the space, take pictures, take measurements, and then I will ask, a variety of questions to try to get a feel for what you're wanting, what you're looking to change. So by the time people have called me with House and Pinterest, they know what they want. They've got ideas, and they have tons of ideas. So by the time they get to me, they've already kind of decided these are the things that we're looking for. So for me, it's just gathering that information from them. And so that's kind of the process. We go out to the house, we take measurements, we do all that process, and then we would do a design and estimate based upon what we think that their budget's going to be, or what they've told us, and what they're asking for. So new construction, I like to have them come here first. We sit down with their blueprints. And like I did this morning, I go through my questions. I try to find out what they're looking for, what appliances do I need to build around, how we doing the island, like what do you want in the bathrooms? Like, I just go through a series of questions. It's about an hour and a half tops usually. And I gather enough information to be able to take those plans or those measurements and put together a design and estimate for people. Completely complimentary too. We don't charge anything to come out to your house.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Y'all hear it?
Yep.
Cool. Well, I guess we should probably get to what we learned today. I think one of the things I took away was, and again, just a parallel to our business, is don't always focus on the money. Like, obviously you have to make money, but be client based and client centric. Like, go to the client, make them happy, do your job, whatever that is, going to bat for them or making a change that they may not have noticed in your world.
Right.
But put the client first,
Be on
and
their
the
side.
money will follow.
Be on their side. That's the thing. Be on the client side. Again, it's easy for people to take those. Again, just put yourself in their shoes. Sometimes you get frustrated. People get frustrated. Stuff happens. Maybe things didn't turn out the way they expected, and understand that those people are spending thousands and thousands of dollars. Maybe something that they're going to do once in a lifetime, or maybe something they've saved up for the last 10 years to do. It's not just a light purchase for them. It's not like running out here to Walmart and grabbing a 12-pack of soda or whatever. Like, it's a big deal. And so try to remember that when they're frustrated about something. Try to hear that, and then be on their side. Try to figure out a way to get it fixed for them, or to help them through the process. I've beat up some manufacturers before because I didn't feel like they were taking care of the client the way that I wanted them to be taken care of. And, when you're working with a manufacturer that's $100 million a year company versus this person that maybe have spent the last 5 years saving up 10 or 15 grand to do their kitchen and their expectations are not met, who's it easier for?
Yeah.
Again, we're not here to give stuff away, but who's it easier for? So that would be, again, just to reiterate, Matt, that would be the thing is take care of your customers, listen to them. Again, I need to make money. I got overhead. I got payroll, cash is king in a small business. So, so the money's got to be there, obviously, but we don't want to focus on that, and we don't want to nickel dime people to death on stuff. And, we want to be fair and competitive on our prices. And, again, take care of the customers. And then, again, surround yourself by good employees. I'm gonna say that all day, every day, whether they're here in front of me, whether they're not. You have to surround yourself with people that you can trust, that do a good job and show up. And, once you get that team built around you, now they're going to make you look like rock stars. And I do. I get appraises, or not appraises, but I get praises on Facebook when I post out a real pretty kitchen. And again, sometimes the time that I've spent on that's very small compared to what everybody else has done. And again, I always say that, I've got a good team around me, and I do. And that's our success right now, is just having that good team around us, good people, taking care of them.
I'll mirror the same thing. I mean, just keeping the customer first it's always gonna bring you more business, and it's gonna pay off down the road. If you're just money hungry, they're gonna be able to see that, and you're not gonna do the best that you would be able to do, as you're mainly working for $1, and you wouldn't help them if, say, they had an issue with like a nicked cabinet door or something like that, because you're just wanting to move to the next project.
That's
but
right.
If you can keep everybody happy, it's gonna pay off in the end.
Well, repeat business is key. Obviously, a repeat sale is easier than the first sale.
Yep.
If you just like you, Matt, if you're selling a house, if you sold a house for somebody and they're like, hey, you need to go use Matt, he was awesome. That's easier for you. I won't say it's money in the bank, but it's easier. It's an easier process because that level of trust has already been built from their close friends saying this is the guy that you need to use.
That's all. Yeah, all day referrals are. If you treat the first person right, obviously you treat everybody right, but you treat that person right, and they're more likely to pass your name along to somebody else.
Right. That's the important. That's why in those moments of aggravation or frustration, you just have to pause and remember, like, I still want this person to pass my name along. I don't want to torch this bridge and this be a one-time client or this be a one-time deal with someone. I still want my name passed along. So you have to pause and, all right, this happened. It stinks. I'm going to take care of you. Here's what we're going to do. And maybe they don't sing your praises every day, but then again, at the same time, they're not out here bashing you. I always say I can handle not getting a compliment. As long as here's the worst thing I've always wanted is, we used SL Designs, we worked with Scott, or we worked with whoever, and we used, and you know what? It wasn't the best process. It wasn't the best experience, but at the end of the day, they took care of what we needed. We're happy with what we got. So that's as bad as I ever wanted to get. Is, again, we make mistakes. We're human. Stuff falls in the truck, gets broken. Stuff gets, installer cuts a piece of trim wrong or drills the heart. I mean, just there's all kinds of little things that can happen.
Easy.
But again, at the same, again, we want people to say, hey, this happened, but they took care of it, and we're happy with the final results.
Heck yeah. All right, so on to the 5 burning questions.
Okay, shoot.
What is one thing when starting your business that you would change or do differently?
So one thing I would change or do differently. That's a great question. The one thing I would change, and again, this just comes with experience, is just learning to be more patient. Just, again, learning, just understanding better. And then the one thing I would do different would try to find somebody to invest and give me some money to start to make things easier. But no, every business is different. Every startup's different. Every process is different. I'm ecstatic. I told someone the other day, I'm living my best life now. I'll be 45 in a few months, and, I'm finally my career's there. I'm living my best life. I'm happy with where things are at. I've got a great staff around me. So just keep in mind, on those bad days, there's going to be better days to come, and it's not always going to be easy. And just you got to show up and you got to do whatever it takes. So again, no matter what business it is, it's you. There's no calling in sick. There's no off days. You just have to show up and do what it takes, and eventually it'll pay off. It'll be there. You'll get where you want to be.
Awesome. So number 2, what, other than your job, cabinets, stuff like that, what's your favorite hobby?
So golf, probably the most frustrating, funnest sport I hate.
It definitely is.
Yes. So I love to golf, and I've got a great group of guys that I get to golf with. And like I was just telling Matt here at the break, that I hit my first hole-in-one on Sunday.
Oh,
and
congrats!
That's so awesome.
With one of my closest friends. It was actually the second 18 of the day. So we played Wildcat, first 18. There were 7 of us, 2 different groups. And then it was still early in the day, and honestly, I actually was finally loose.
Yeah.
So we were like, hey, let's stick it out and play another 18. So we switched over to the Big Blue course, and then hole 17, 35th hole of the day, I fit my first ace.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool experience. Pretty cool. Yeah.
That's great. There's like people that golf their entire lives and never come close.
Right. The best thing about it was there wasn't a big group, so I didn't have to buy a bunch of drinks.
Hell yeah.
So just a couple shots in the clubhouse, and we were good to go.
Love that.
Yeah.
So the next question, what's your favorite restaurant?
Favorite restaurant? I'm a Malone's fan. Malone's, Drake's, Harry's.
Same.
I'm never a bad meal.
It's consistent.
The filet is king. The crab rangoon rolls. The drinks are awesome. Whatever. We just had our 10th anniversary dinner there at the Malone's Prime, the banquet room.
Yeah.
And bam, food and service there was awesome.
That's awesome.
We'll take an invite to that next year.
It was it was so good. Well, we probably won't celebrate the 11th year, but it was so good that we are planning to do a Christmas party there.
Yeah.
The service and food was awesome. So yeah, that's one of those things as a small business owners, like we're saving for it. I can't get to the end of the year and then invite 60 or 70 people and just know that the money's going to be there. So we're prepping and planning ahead. We have kind of a separate account that we put a little bit of money into every month, and that'll afford us to be able to do that. So just planning ahead.
Awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
So next one. So we all know Matt's a big Boy George fan here. So who would be a music artist you listen to that no one would expect?
I'm a big Post Malone fan.
Ooh, me too.
I like that.
And then just to completely flip that onto a completely different genre, like I'm a big Sam Hunt fan.
Okay.
So those. So I spend a lot of time in the car driving. So Spotify's my friend.
Our podcast is on Spotify, so you can listen to that too.
I will be checking those out now for sure. Not this one, but I want to listen to the other ones.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, so it's
Post and Sam Hunt.
Post and Sam Hunt. I know those are complete opposite, but I enjoy both of them. Yep.
Nah,
They'll probably have a concert together at some point.
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
They could collaborate. Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a book. We've kind of gone over this, but it can be like if you do audiobooks or if you do podcasts or whatever.
Right.
What's your favorite business book?
I'm probably going to get hung for this, but I don't read at all.
I have a lot of books, and I don't really read that much.
I'm not. I listen to music when I'm driving, which again gives me time to think. Occasionally, I'll find some sort of a podcast or video that I find interesting, but nothing that I can just say like this is my go-to. This is what I listen to. Sometimes I just need to find something to pass away the time.
Sure.
On that 2-hour commute back from Indiana or wherever I may be going. So. Yeah, I don't read a lot, and that's probably completely against like what other business owners do. Like they,
Well, if you're working so much at your business,
right.
Sometimes you just need time to unwind and not really
Right.
think about business anymore.
But, there's that kind of these are the books you need to read to be successful, and again I'm not a reader. Like I can start a book, and I've read a couple books, and it's not okay. I haven't, but like I start them, and it's like I'm not enough. Like it just yeah.
That's funny.
So.
Don't feel bad because we've had a book I think that we should have been reading since like
I hope
don't
you
know,
haven't
October
finished
or
that
some
because
shit.
I
I've
haven't.
not touched it.
Okay, good deal.
So don't feel bad. We're the same way.
So I had a client of mine buy me this book, and I can't remember. It's a golfer's book. He had written it, and it's honestly it's like a book that you should read beginning before you start every season. We start playing as the temperature gets warmer. We start playing more, and I mean it's a half-inch thick, like it's maybe 100 pages, and he's like it talks about just the mental aspect of the game, and then warming up to the game, and he bought it and brought it to me, and like I haven't even cracked it open yet.
Oh, dang!
And that's something I enjoy. So, but yeah, I'm not a reader.
Hopefully, didn't get to this part of the podcast if he decides to listen to it.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fun, man. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for kind of I guess pushing me into it. Like I was hesitant at first, and then I got your little sample video, and it was just a different form. I didn't know what to expect, honestly. I've never done a podcast, and talking, hearing yourself talk or seeing yourself on video, like it's sometimes a different experience if you're not used to it. But no, this has been great. I appreciate it.
I had a lot of fun meeting you, man. You got a beautiful design room in here, and
Thank
I think
you.
it's awesome what you're doing. I hope your Indiana store goes well.
I appreciate that. I hope so too. Thank you.
Yeah. Heck
Awesome.
yeah, man.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming on.
No problem.
I'm Matt.
This is Shae, and this is the Building Small Business Podcast. See y'all.
Now I have to start again.